Right, let's talk about political scandals. It's a term we hear so often it's almost lost all meaning, like the words artisanal synergy Gwyneth Paltrow. But a political scandal is, at its core, incredibly simple. It's what happens when someone in power, someone you trusted to run things, gets caught doing something they absolutely should not have been doing. Think of it like this. You hire a babysitter. Instead of watching your kid, they're using your Netflix account to watch German expressionist cinema. They're teaching your toddler how to day trade cryptocurrency. It's a breach of trust on a massive, country-affecting scale. And it matters. These aren't just embarrassing stories for the evening news. They're moments that reveal a fundamental crack in the system we all rely on. These aren't just harmless oopsie-daisies either. A proper political scandal often involves a cocktail of corruption, lies, and a desperate attempt to hide the truth. Let's dive into a recent spectacular example. The Great Data Doodle debacle of 2024. You remember this one? The official story, plastered across every news channel for weeks, was that a massive government database containing sensitive agricultural data, crop yields, soil compositions, the secret locations of prize-winning pumpkins, was accidentally wiped by a clumsy intern named Chad. The government put out a very serious-looking press release, complete with a stock photo of a server room and a quote from a minister about implementing new digital safety protocols. They threw poor Chad under the bus so hard. It was a simple, believable story of human error. Case closed, right? The narrative was perfect. It was relatable. Who hasn't accidentally deleted an important file? The media ran with it, showing pictures of the supposed intern, who looked suspiciously like a model from a stock photo collection. The Secretary of Agriculture assured the public that the data, while lost, was not compromised in a malicious way. It was an IT hiccup. Nothing to see here, folks. For a while, it worked perfectly. Everyone was talking about Chad, and no one was talking about the data itself. And then there was the sentient stapler affair. Yes, that's what the tabloids called it, and honestly, it's too good not to use. The initial scandal was that a high-ranking official in the Department of Commerce, let's call him Director Thompson, was caught on a hot mic making some incredibly dodgy deals, promising a massive, no-bid contract for office supplies to a company called Staple Corp in exchange for a generous donation. It looked like a straightforward case of quid pro quo corruption. Thompson resigns in disgrace, Staple Corp gets investigated. The system, we are told, works. A bad apple removed, the media focused on greed, expensive suits, cravats. The narrative was that this was an isolated incident. The government launched an ethics review, isolate the problem, sacrifice the individual, promise reforms that change very little. The hot mic that caught Thompson wasn't on him. It was embedded inside a novelty talking stapler that had been gifted months earlier by a rival supplier. But the truly hidden fact was what Staple Corp was actually being paid for. The contract wasn't just for pens, paper clips. Buried in the appendices was procurement and distribution of next-generation acoustic surveillance devices, staplers that listened. The real story wasn't just personal greed, it was a secret, unauthorized program to use faux office supply contracts to facilitate domestic surveillance. The stapler wasn't sentient, but it was certainly listening. So why hide the truth? The answer, in both the Data Doodle case and the sentient stapler affair, is depressingly simple. The initial simplified story is always less damaging than the full complicated reality. In the case of the lost agricultural data, the truth was that the data wasn't accidentally deleted by Chad. It was intentionally wiped by a senior official to cover up evidence of illegal water rights sales to a corporate conglomerate. The data would have shown a powerful agribusiness draining protected aquifers. Certain politicians were getting very, very rich from looking the other way. Similarly, the sentient stapler cover-up protected a program that used procurement to fund domestic surveillance. It implicates the department and raises terrifying questions about privacy and oversight. It's rarely the people in power. Maria, a journalist at a small independent outlet, thought the Chad story smelled off. She cross-referenced public water usage with corporate land records and found discrepancies. After FOIA's denied, she received an anonymous flash drive containing fragments of the deleted data. For the stapler story, an unassuming auditor spotted inflated item codes and followed the money. He discovered Staple Corp was a front funneling payments to a firm tied to intelligence agencies and leaked it to reporters. At this point, you might be feeling a little exhausted. It's tempting to just throw your hands up and retreat into cat videos. But here's the thing, we have to care. The gap between the story they tell us and the story that's actually happening is where our democracy erodes. It's the space where our rights get quietly signed away and our resources sold to the highest bidder. Indifference is the best friend a corrupt official ever had. When we hear a story that seems a little too simple, we should be skeptical and ask questions, find the journalists, the auditors, the whistleblowers, support independent media and those who speak truth to power. Transparency isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Sunlight is the disinfectant. The truth matters because without it we can't make informed decisions or hold the right people accountable.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go check all my office supplies for tiny microphones. My swing line is looking at me funny.
Look for the footnotes, celebrate reporters who follow up, ask what they hope you won't notice, demand the truth. It's how we patch the cracks in the system.